Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Making Public Works Smarter with Geotab Safety and Winter Operations webinar. We thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. We know that municipalities, the winter season isn't just about clearing snow. It's about data, liability, asset management, and most importantly, kind of keeping your operators and the public safe. So today we want to move beyond just the old tracking dots on a map and show you how to actually manage your winter operations with confidence using the Geotab ecosystem. So I guess before we dive into the technology, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. So the session's being recorded. We'll send a link to the recording to everyone who registered after the webinar. So if you miss anything, don't worry, we've got you covered. We've got a lot of great content to cover in the hour, but we want to hear from you. So please use the Q&A button at the top of the screen to submit questions at any time. We'll try to get to them as we go or save them for the Q&A period at the end. So here's how we're going to spend the next hour. I'm Jeff Crothers from DICAN. I'll be your host today. And first, we're going to look under the hood. So we've got Brian Lobeck, Canadian Business Manager at Geotab, based in Calgary, here to discuss the engineering behind the Geotab platform, the product itself, and the wider partner ecosystem that makes it all work. After Brian, I'll jump back in briefly to discuss DICAN's role. I'll explain how we take that powerful Geotab technology and apply it specifically to your needs, bridging the gap between the hardware and your day-to-day reality. Finally, we know you want to see the tools in action. So Heather Carlton, sales lead at DICAN, will take over to do a live demo of the winter management tools, showing you exactly how to track assets and generate the reports you need. So without further ado, we'll get started. Brian, I'll hand the floor over to you to talk about the Geotab ecosystem.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the handoff. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Let me share my screen over here. All right. Perfect. Fantastic. So yeah, before we get started, just wanted to, like I said, introduce myself, Brian Lobeck, Business Development Manager for Geotab. I appreciate the intro, Jeff. I'm based out of Calgary, so I'm kind of the local presence out west here. We're going to take a look under the hood, like Jeff said, and talk a little bit about Geotab itself. So Geotab started 25 years ago out of Oakville, Ontario, out of our CEO's basement, Neil Cause, and started the path that we're on today. So the amount of growth and the trajectory of Geotab as a whole has been second to none, growing from a couple employees in the basement to over 2,500 employees today, nearing upwards of 3,000. Over that time, we've gained 5.6 million subscriptions, and we have over 35 trillion data points that are processed annually. That helps feed our data engine to provide those insights for your fleets. Of those 5.6 million subscriptions, 20% of those are in the government space. So here's just a small portion of a sample size of what that looks like in the Canadian markets, from federal government, Canada Post, all the way to the Alberta locals, Calgary, Edmonton, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, as well as some of our utility companies, Fortis Alberta and Max, and even stretches over to the public safety side of things with Alberta Health Services as well. The beauty of all these government entities and all the subscriptions we hold with them, of course, data and privacy is of the utmost importance. One of the things to note here is all your data resides within the Canadian, domestic Canadian land. So we have 3 data centers across the country, 1 out west and then 2 out east in Toronto and Montreal. As well as we want to reiterate and hammer home that your data is your data. So it's not being shared with anyone else. It's not being sold. This is being aggregated and used for, of course, we're talking a lot about predictive maintenance, and what comes with that is learning models, or AI. And so we're using some of that to help best provide those insights for how to service your own fleet. Now let's start with where we get that data from. So this is the foundation of where everything starts. This is our Geotab Go device. This is what's plugged into the OBD port of the vehicle. Now, for the mechanics in the room, or for those you may be concerned about that, we do offer a T harness, so it is teed off of the OBD, so that still allows that port to be freed up for any sort of scan tools or anything from the mechanic side of things, while not having to be unplugged and replugged back in, potentially causing a failure point or not being reconnected properly. On the bottom right of that screen, you see the Go Rugged device. So that is the same device that you're seeing rotating at the top in an environmentally safe enclosure. So it's safe from the environments, from heat, water, humidity, you name it. Now, what separates us from some of the other telematics companies out there and what they do? So we have what we call our curve algorithm, and then it's proprietary to Geotab. What that does, it monitors that OBD port on the vehicle and collects any data when there senses a change in the vehicle itself. So whether that be cornering, accelerating, braking, or even goes as far as, identifying turn signals or windshield wipers, you name it. At that point, then that device collects that data point and sends it to your database for you to revisit at a later date, whatever the case may be. Now, some of the other telematics providers out there, they ping at a certain rate, whether that be 15 or 30 seconds. And as you can imagine, there's a lot that can happen between those ping rates. So the way this curve algorithm is a value proposition is that it makes sure we don't lose any sort of fidelity when it comes to that quality data. We also understand that there's a lot of assets out there outside of vehicles that are needing to be tracked, whether that be signboards for the side of the roads, generators, trailers, you name it. There's a plethora of tools. There's a plethora of different assets that fleets like to be tracked because they end up places where they shouldn't be and waste a lot of time and efficiency. So what we have here is our asset tracker. This is a battery powered asset tracker. The battery power lasts 3 to 5 years, depending on whatever that tracking mode is, whether that's you're tracking it once every 24 hours or you're tracking it when that asset moves. You can customize that within my Geotab software. This also is an environmentally safe enclosure, so wherever you can find a mount, probably a discrete area on that asset, you can mount this and be worry-free. One of the other benefits of what we have in our ecosystem is our harnessing. So right here is our one of the 2 public works harnesses we offer. So this is our IOX aux-M. So there's 4 telemetry inputs. And it is self-learning, so it's ground or power. And some of the common uses you're seeing here is PTO on off, boom up down, and goes as far as light bar on and off. So on your, say you've got a light duty F-150, you're at a site or you're on the side of the road and you have your amber light on, it monitors that and feeds that data back into my Geotab to identify to the fleet manager or the supervisor that he was in correct operation of that light. One of the use cases, actually, this came from down south in the States. It was Arkansas DOT. There was an accident. Someone in the community rear-ended one of the public admin vehicles for their DOT department. And that citizen claimed that the light bar on top of that truck was too bright, so they weren't able to see, and that's why they rear-ended that vehicle. Well, what the fleet supervisor did, went back and looked at the data within my Geotab, saw that, yes, the accident did occur. That public admin vehicle then pulled over onto the side of the road to clear the roadway and then turned his light bar on to identify the traffic behind him and let him know that there's some commotion on the side of the highway, exonerating that driver and that claim that the light bar itself was too bright and that's what caused the accident there. So simple use case, but obviously helped a lot when it comes to the insurance claims. The second IOX harness that we're going to talk about here is specific to serial integrations with public works spreaders. And we just released earlier this year in August our first sweeper integration with Timco models. We are expanding that as we move forward, but that was an exciting launch for us earlier this year. Coming from the salt spreader side of things for winter operations, you can see the list of different spreaders we integrate with there. And those serial ports that you're looking at on the harness itself plugs into that spreader in the cab of the vehicle. And then what you're actually getting is that spread rate of that material, whether it be pre-wet or solid materials going onto the roadway. Confirming the levels of compliance, making sure you're withholding that standard, as well as for budgetary reasons, making sure you're not putting too little or too much of any given material on the road during the winter season. We also integrate with the surface and air temperature sensors. We do not sell those pieces, but we do integrate with them, so you can then again upload those additional data points into the My Geotab software. Switching gears slightly, we're going to head over to the dash cam portion of things. So we understand this is a sensitive subject, and the following slide will help maybe alleviate some of those concerns. But we just launched this in September. Is our first ever Geotab branded dash cam. We do have an in-cab camera and microphone, as well as a road-facing camera. What this allows is there's AI models within it. So it identifies, whether you're tailgating too close or you're swerving in and out of the lanes from the road sensor's perspective. From the in-cab sensor, it is identifying whether the driver's distracted, on their phone, seatbelt's not on, eating while driving, you name it. And the benefit of that is as well, not only to report that back to the supervisor for potential driver safety, but also does some in-cab coaching. So it gives immediate feedback to that driver to help correct those behaviors. And then within our software, we're developing a one-on-one coaching tool so you can then gauge whether there's improvement or decline in your driver behaviors. And then it allows for that one-on-one coaching moments with those individuals in the fleet. As I mentioned, privacy is everything. So and cameras are a bit of a sensitive topic. So we do have 3 different options here to help alleviate some of those concerns. When you get that GoFocus Plus straight out of the box, the in-cab microphone and the in-cab camera are both disabled automatically by default within my Geotab. You do have to actively go in there and activate those. So that, alleviates some of that privacy concerns. We can take it a step further. We have an in-cab camera cover that actually covers physically that camera inside the cab. And then the third option is road facing only. So we completely remove physically that camera from the in-cab portion, and you only have a road facing sensor that allows some of that AI model and driver coaching behaviors to be reported back based off of what they're seeing on the road. Now, the only caveat to that is if there is a potential for scaling to an in-cab camera somewhere down the line, that road facing only would have to physically be replaced with a camera. There isn't, unfortunately, an option to add on just that in-cab portion of it. And again, bringing it all together. So any data source, we talked about the Go device, the IOX Public Works harnesses, the in-dash cameras. We bring that data together, that high quality data, using our curve algorithm, elevating the data points that are meaningful to the fleet itself. We bring that together within the Geotab platform. And what I want to mention with that as well is whether you're an entity that's using some other FMIS system, whether that be CityWorks, AssetWorks, Fleetio, fuel card management softwares, you name it. Geotab allows we do have an open API and SDK that allows for integration with those pieces as well. So you can feed, it's a bilateral data feed, so you can digest that other information from the FMIS system into Geotab, or we can push the Geotab data into the FMI system, however you prefer to digest that data. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, what we're doing is elevating and surfacing those insights so you can have some actionable items for your fleet, whether that be improvement on fuel economy due to idling, improvement in driver safety, or some of the other items we talked about today. So that's how it brings it all together. Now, Geotab at its core is an engineering company. We are a software company, and everything we do with research and development is based off of these 6 pillars, whether that be from productivity to, with regards to optimizing routes, operations with helping out with preventative or predictive maintenance, the safety side of things with driver safety, in-vehicle coaching, sustainability, because there are some initiatives out there from the federal government when it comes to EV adoption, but also sustainability, like I mentioned before, is around fuel economy as well and reducing some idle times. It's not necessarily always talking about electric vehicles. And then finally, compliance from the driver vehicle inspection reporting, doing pre and post trip inspections, and then bringing it, expanding that out to dash cameras, harnessing, like I said, third-party FMIS systems we integrate with. So everything we do at its core is based off of these 6 pillars. Now, Geotab at the center of all this, in this ecosystem, we do have, the expandability pillar was the last thing I touched on. Over there on the left-hand side, the marketplace partner, that's where some of those inputs come in. So, we have our GoFocus Plus camera, but we also cover lytics cameras. We have some other routing softwares out there, and Dycan also has, the plow pilot that identifies where the position of the plow is during winter operations. On the right-hand side of that is our reseller partner network. So that's where Dycan comes into play. That's that white glove service. That's that after-sales support, training, getting your databases up to speed, and really managing that relationship between with the end user, the clients yourself. So that's how we're bringing it all together today. Finally, just a mention for the folks who are able to, in the government space, who are able to take advantage of it. We are on the Canoe contract, and DICAN can piggyback off of the direct Geotab contract out there. So what this does is alleviates some of the painful RFP processes that are out there. The RFP process has been done. It's complete with Canoe. So you're able to purchase directly off of that. You see the two options there, with install or with self-install. Regardless, you're including the Go9 device, the Pro Plus plan, universal harnessing, and standard installation, or in training and installation with or without. You can see the asterisk down there at the bottom. There are add-ons like satellite plans, other harnessing, cameras, you name it. So we can expand from there, but at its core, those are the two bullet points there of what we can offer through Canoe today. And with that, that is it for my section. So I'll turn it back over to Jeff.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. That gives everyone, I think, a clear picture of the power behind the Geotab platform. And so that brings me to the next segment. Where does DICAN fit into the puzzle? So while Geotab provides the world-class data engine, DICAN provides the boots on the ground expertise to make it run in a public works environment. We know that buying the hardware is the easy part. Making it work seamlessly across the mixed fleet of patrol vehicles, snowplows, spreaders, heavy equipment, that's where the challenge is. And so that's where our team comes in. We're headquartered in Ontario with a Canada-wide distribution and service partner network. We've been working with municipalities since 2000, and our staff participates in ongoing training and certification. We manufacture and supply 3 products of our own in the Geotab marketplace, and Brian had touched on that. And we're partnered with service providers across the country to offer the quality installations and service that our customers have come to expect. We pride ourselves on a white glove in-house support model. Geotab doesn't outsource their service to an offsite call center. When you work with us, you're working with a local technical team that understands Canadian winters and municipal fleets. So we start by identifying key personnel and establishing a regular meeting cadence, typically weekly or biweekly, to ensure alignment, followed immediately by database configuration and a pilot phase to validate the system. Next, we provide comprehensive training for anyone from admins to drivers, while fine-tuning the setup to your specific operations. And once onboarding is complete, we seamlessly transition you from implementation to our dedicated ongoing support. Simply put, we cover the entire life cycle of your fleet management. So from onboarding and installation, we ensure the hardware, whether it's plow pilot sensors that we manufacture or collision avoidance cameras, is installed correctly and ruggedized to your specific vehicles, to training. We don't just hand you a login and walk away. We train your staff so they actually know how to use the data to protect your municipality or organization from liability. And after sales support, when a storm hits or a report looks off, you have a direct line to our support staff who know your name and know your fleet. Essentially, like Geotab gives you the data, but DICAN gives you the partnership to ensure that the data is accurate, actionable, and supported. DICAN maintains an in-house team dedicated to providing the support during business hours, and Geotab extends that support with 24/7 availability. So to show you kind of what that accurate data looks like in real time, I'll hand it over to Heather for a live demo of Geotab's winter management tools. So Heather, can hand the stage over to you, and you can give us all a look.
Okay, great. Jeff, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. If you can verify that you can see my screen.
Yep, I can see it.
My Geotab database. Great. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining and listening in. That's great. So what I'm going to do for you here is a very, very high level demonstration of Geotab. And please reach out, drop a comment in, or any questions along the way. But if you'd like a deeper demonstration after this, please drop a comment in and we'll reach out and set up some demonstration times with you. We're happy to do a deeper dive, but we're just going to do a high level today to give you guys an idea of what my Geotab's all about. So I'm logged in, as you can see here, into a My Geotab database with a friendly customer of ours. So I have landed on the live map. So what we're looking at here is vehicles in real time, what they're doing. And this is the entire fleet. So you can see we have 183 vehicles kind of gathered, if you will, down over here closer to the town, closer to the area that these folks, this database is from. As you can see, as I log in, as I scroll in, I'm sorry, it starts to spread out a little bit. There's an awful lot of vehicles there. So that looks great. They're all going in real time, and you're able to see that, which is very interesting for a couple reasons. For dispatch needs, if you need to send somebody to find who's closest to and send somebody to an address, it's a fantastic tool for that. So sort of the dispatch functionality. The other thing is when you've got plows. When you've got plows, you've got salters, you've got sidewalk plows going, you want to know, and during a winter event, you want to know where they're going and what they're doing. So in this case, you're getting them all. But what I'll do here is I will drill in on, I believe it's a plow vehicle, and we'll just look at the one to sort of clear things up. So we can see here, oh, this particular vehicle stopped now. It was driving just a few minutes ago. We could see that it stopped inside a zone. So if you hover over this, you get a bunch of information. If it were driving, we'd see the speed it was going, but more importantly for winter management, you would also be able to see if the plow is up, plow is down, salt spreader on, salt spreader off, that type of thing, and what it's spreading. So you'd be able to see in this box that pops up exactly what's happening in real time, if need be, during a winter event, if you need that. So that said, we know that you don't necessarily have time during a winter event to be in the system all the time. Just want you to know that it's you could absolutely do that if needed. So I'm just going to kind of briefly describe what's in this left-hand toolbar. I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail to start, but you can see that we've grouped, Geotab has grouped their information based on pillar. So you drop down the plus and you can see what's in productivity. So productivity is basically time, address or zone related. Zone is a virtual boundary around any given address or point of interest that's important to you guys. You can have unlimited amount of zones in here. As you can see, this is a big giant orange zone for this particular customer. But you can see trips history in regards to where they've driven, essentially a stop report, stop and start report. You can do routing, public works, which I'll come back to because we will drill down on that a little bit. Zones, driver configuration. You can see that we have another pillar of reporting called compliance. So this is basically related to hours of service and or ELD. If to time card, if to cards, if to reporting, sorry, if to fuel reporting, things like that. Then we have another pillar called safety. So we have Geotab has a fantastic collision risk that can actually, it benchmarks based on their entire 5 million vehicles that are reporting data, takes your vehicles and will say, based on this type of vehicle, based on this type of terrain that it's driving in, you are this likely to get into an accident. So it's doing some benchmarking on the broader scale, which is fantastic. Really great information. Fantastic risk management reporting, speed profile. And then we have a maintenance pillar here that is able to manage your scheduling. Oil change, let's use oil change as an example. It's one of the easiest ones. You can certainly schedule your oil changes every 3 months or every so many kilometers and or so many engine hours. You can use all three of those, a combination of the three of those, to set up your, your maintenance scheduling, whether it's a PM, an oil change, a license renewal, a tire rotation, whatever it is. You can set up those. You can also turn them into work order management, work orders that have jobs specific to it, and it helps you keep track of the costs that you're incurring based on maintenance for the vehicles. So we have this available to you as well. We have a fantastic faults report that is able to show you because faults show up and, I look at faults and I don't know what fault means what. Well, there is a very simple solution built in here that actually shows you if this is a fault, it gauges, is this fault urgent or can be ignored till the vehicle comes back, or is it urgent and does it need to be looked at? Does the vehicle have to come off the road to get it fixed? So it does some gauging of the fault codes for you. It does engine measurements, such as fuel level and things like that, which is in down here in a fantastic fuel and EV report. We group it together. So it shows you for those vehicles, those ICE vehicles that are filling up, you're getting fuel economy, you're getting time and date to fill up at the gas tanks, And then you're also getting charge state level and things like that if you have EVs in your fleet. So it's a really very useful report. There's a sustainability reporting based on EV performance, EV suitability. If you have EV vehicles, we got you covered in regards to reporting on the states of battery. And then if you don't have EV, but you have Geotab and you're interested in understanding what vehicles could be possibly moved to EV, we have an EV suitability assessment, which is amazing in that we can just do this report does a very good broad spectrum of any vehicles that have a Go device installed in it, and it will tell you this vehicle can move to EV based on its activity. It's best to try this type of EV vehicle. This vehicle over here, based on its activity, nope, can't. It doesn't make sense to move it to EV, so we can't do it. It does it's a great assessment, EV suitability assessment, should you be thinking of going EV in your fleets. And then we have some management types of and admin types of tabs here as well. So let's come back up to Public Works. I'm going to pop down to Public Works here, and I'm going to open up a couple things here. I want to first look at route completion. Two main things that Public Works does for you. It tells you your route completion based on, what your routes are. We can help you, assist you upload your routes into the system, and we're going to use your routes based on, based on what you guys are driving. And the other one is material management, because you're going to want to be able to report on how much salt or pre-wet or whatever those substances, sand that you guys are using, how much you're dispersing on the ground. Great material management reporting is fantastic for, government reports, for purchasing. Next year, we used this much last year. We're expecting this much winter activity. We need this much this year. So it helps you with those types of reporting. Okay, so when I go to route completion here, and I'm going to look at historical, and I'm going to choose, these rules would be set up based on your functionality. So this is for this particular customer. But if I do road salting service, and in this case, I'm just going to maybe pick one vehicle here, and let's apply. So again, this is based on roads. This is based on routes that would be uploaded into the system, named for you, configured by your setup. And we have road salting. So we can drop this down and we can see that the arterial collateral route, if you will, that's a mouthful, has this many route segments in it. When I click on it, now these aren't great because we're not getting much activity here, but when I choose A1, it drills down into this location. Now we're going down into the very small segments of the road. We're drilling down here into very small segments. As you can see, I'm clicking downward here, and these are passes. 0 out of 2 passes, 0 out of 2 passes. So we're getting very granular in the data here based on what we have, based on the activity of the vehicles. Now, what this does, so this is, you can go into the My Geotab data and you can look at this all day long to see how much of my routes have been completed, and it pops up into a fantastic report that looks like this. So we have this dashboard here that will say, based on the time frame that you've chosen, you're, in this case, 8.9% completed your routes. Hopefully it's 100 when you actually pull the report. So you can have a dashboard graph up on the dashboard of Geotab that quickly tells you how you're doing in route completion. If you're doing well in route completion, you move on to the rest of your day. If you're missing, if it doesn't look like it's completed enough, or it's 40% instead of 100%, then you've got to click on this and it'll drill down into the detailed version. So into the details of what's happening here. So then what we've got here is the segment listed. So this would be your bottom line route segment. And then you've got the actual completion of the segment in a percentage. So you can see that, E0F was 50% completed during the time frame that I've chosen for this particular report. Okay, so the route completion gives you a really good idea of the passes. You name the route. We'll tell you how many passes were done, and we'll put that into a report form for you. Okay, and the other piece of this is as I said earlier, when I drop down is the material management. So what we have here is a material management report that is able to show you, as I said, it shows you, we're able to show you in a graphical format, again, for your dashboard. You look at your dashboard and you're able to see the breakdown of where your materials were, or how much of your materials were spread. But then you're going to get a pretty good breakdown of what occurred here let me go to the report tab here, which is the detailed version. And you can see the device. And then as I just scroll over here, you can see very clearly the start time and the end time. You're going to choose the report form, the solid type, the sodal type, the pre-wet total, anti-ice total, spread time, plow time. So very good information as I go through here to help you manage and understand exactly what's occurring out there on the road during your spreading during the winter months. So you can see throughout all the great information there in this particular report for you guys to be able to, manage your winter management events, manage your purchasing, and keep to compliance and keep your reporting needs up to date. Okay. And then, yeah, so based on that was very, very high level. We didn't want to take too much time today to go into the details of it, but we have some great winter management reports here, but also for the rest of your fleet that's not winter management focused, there's some fantastic information here to help you, manage your risks, keep your efficiencies, improve your efficiencies, improve your maintenance, your maintenance management, and help you manage the maintenance of your vehicles. So if there's any further information that you folks would like to hear, like to go over, please don't hesitate to ask. We'd be happy to do that for you. And Jeff, on that note, I'll turn it back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather. So I hope that demo highlighted exactly how these tools take the guesswork out of winter ops. To bring it all together, successful deployment isn't just about the software you just saw, but it's about the rollout. We guide you through that entire life cycle, and we're here to ensure the system works for you. With that said, we have some time remaining to answer any questions you might have. If you haven't submitted any question, there's a Q&A tool at the top, or you can use the chat to just type it in. We'll just give a second here if anybody wants to submit a question. And it looks like we may have covered everything for today. But if you see something or saw something today that sparks a question at any point about your fleet, please don't hesitate to reply to the email that we're going to be sending afterwards, or reach out to us directly. We can be reached at dycaninc.com. Also, our contact info will be in the email. And so that brings us to the end of our session. I want to extend a huge thank you to Brian for breaking down the engineering behind the platform, and to Heather for walking us through those tools in action. And most importantly, thank you all for joining us. We know how busy public works departments are this time of year, and we appreciate you spending your time with us. So as a final reminder, just keep an eye out on your inbox. We'll be sending out the recording of this session shortly, so you can share it with your teams. And we'd love to sit down with you and discuss how we can tailor these solutions to fit your specific winter operations. So on behalf of the entire Dycan team, thank you again. Stay safe out there, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.